Hi there, Nancy, if you'd like to check your audio.
Good afternoon.
Thanks so much. And Glenn, go ahead and check your microphone.
Hopefully that comes across okay.
That sounds great. And Julia, if you'd like to go ahead.
Julia Cooper.
Great, thank you.
No, that's not good. It's the same problem. But I was like, oh, wait, Thursday. That is also different. Well, right.
Hey, Jonathan, can we do a mic check, please? Oh, I just lost you. Okay. Hi, Jenny. Jenny, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
Hi, I'm talking now.
There we go. Now we've got you. Thanks.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the clerk with a courtesy announcement that this meeting is now being streamed live on the internet. And if there's anyone else in the room who has not done a mic check, please feel free to do so at this time. Hi, Kevin, can we do a mic check, please?
Hi, yes.
Your audio and video are working. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there we go.
Hello, can you hear me? Dave,
Member Jim, yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
And Lizanne, I see you in attendees. If you're listening, no worries. Or if you'd like to be a panelist, raise your hand. Oh,
Yeah, I just promoted her. She should be coming in just a second.
Thank you. Can you hear me? This is Lizanne.
Hi, Lizanne, we can hear you. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
No problem.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Well, through the clerk.
Recording in progress.
Through the clerk, I don't see Chairperson Estromera. but I believe we can go ahead and get the meeting started.
That is
Roll
correct.
call. Okay, so if you could proceed with the roll call.
Certainly. Good afternoon. Seat number 1, Member Williams.
Present. Present.
I will also note that alternate member Barry is here for seat number 1. Seat number 2, Member Klein.
Present.
Thank you. Seat number 3, Member Estremera is absent. Seat number 4, Member Gomez is absent. Seat number 5, Member Chim.
Here.
Thank you. Your volume is a little low, Member Chim. Seat number 6, Member Snow.
Here,
Thank you. Seat number 7, Member Pascal is absent. We do have a quorum.
thank you. That takes us into item number 2, which is public comment. This item is reserved for persons desiring to address the Oversight Board on any matter not on the agenda that's within the jurisdiction of the Oversight Board. Members of the public who wish to address the Oversight Board on such matters should request to speak at this time. Speakers will be limited to 2 minutes. The law does not permit any Oversight Board action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda except under special circumstances. Statements that require response may be referred to staff for reply in writing. And through the clerk, do we have any speakers?
We have no speakers for public comment, and I would just like to note, sir, that Member Gomez has now joined the meeting.
Thank you for that.
Present. Sorry, I'm late.
From there, we can move to item number 3, which is to approve the consent calendar and any changes to the agenda. Is there any member who wishes to speak on those items? And seeing none, if I could have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second by Klein.
Thank you. That'll take us into our regular agenda items for discussion.
Pardon me,
And,
Member Snow. My apologies. We do need to take a roll call vote for that item.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Member Williams,
Aye.
Member Klein,
Aye.
Member Gomez,
Aye.
Member Chim,
Aye.
and Member Snow.
Yes,
Thank you.
great. And with that, we can move into the regular agenda items for discussion. And I would like to start out before we go into number 4, just expressing my appreciation to the successor agencies that worked on these items and this material for us. Very much appreciate all the background and look forward to receiving these reports. So we can start with number 4, receive report from successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the city of Campbell. And if we have somebody from Campbell who would like to present, that would be great.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Nora Vong, Finance Manager for the City of Campbell. I will be sharing my screen in just a minute right here. Are you able to see the slides for you?
I can see it.
Perfect. So I'll be speaking for the Campbell Successor Agency this afternoon, and my presentation will be quite brief. As the board might recall, on July 29th, the Campbell Successor Agency submitted our last and final ROPS to the board, which was approved on the 29th, and it's currently under review by the Department of Finance. We should hear back pretty soon from the Department of Finance, but they're currently reviewing it at this point in time. With regards to property disposition and property status under the successor agency, there are currently 4 properties still under the successor agency, which include the Campbell Community Center, the Campbell Museum, a downtown surface parking lot, as well as Edith Morley Park. 3 of these properties are eligible to be transferred over to the city. The lone property that's not eligible at this point in time is the Campbell Community Center, because we have debt obligations that expire or will be paid off in 2031. So the city is working towards transferring the other 3 properties at this point in time. The downtown surface lot needs one final signature for our compensation agreement before we can proceed with that transfer. And so at this point in time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the Campbell Successor Agency.
Thank you for the update. Are there any board members that would wish to speak? Not having done that, I'm scanning for raised hands. Maybe the clerk can help me. Oh, there's Chair Esther Mara. The show is yours, sir. We're on item number 4.
Thank you, David. Sorry for my tardiness. I couldn't get in, so you know how these things go, but sorry about that. Any questions? Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry. Yes, Larry?
No questions. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. See no questions. Okay.
Member Chair, it looks like Mr. Williams has his hand up.
Oh, yes. Glenn?
Just a quick question of Campbell. This one signature that is still pending, can you give us some additional information on what's holding that up? It seems like this has been in progress for a very long time.
Sure. We're still trying to obtain a reason for why this agency has yet to sign the agreement. We're working toward communicating with them right now and have not received an explanation just yet, other than that they are not willing to sign the agreement.
Can you also clarify for me how long this has been pending?
I believe the agreement was drawn up, I want to say in 2014. I'm fairly new to the city, and so I'm just circling back to this right now. And we've reached out to this agency last year, and we're reaching out again this year to see if we can have this resolved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I don't see any any hands raised, so. Okay, so we'll move along. Okay, I don't see any questions, so we'll move along then. What are we up to now? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, because these are all items to receive reports, you don't need to take any action on them, so motions are not necessary.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Could you put the agenda up on the?
Sure, give me just one moment to pull it up.
Thank you.
And it'll be item number 5, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, David. All right, we just completed the report from the Campbell Redevelopment Agency. So we'll move along to 5, which is receive report from the Successor Agency for the City of Milpitas.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Lauren Lai with the City of Milpitas. I'm here to present a summary on our behalf.
Good afternoon, Lauren.
Thank you. Can we see that slide deck okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. This will be a brief presentation as an overview. Our long-range property management plan, we've completed that with all properties disposed of. The Milpitas Successor Agency does not have any DDA. However, it will be difficult for us to submit a last and final ROPS for the following reasons. It requires that all of our payments are fixed. You may be familiar and aware of the county contract with our city, which has variable terms in terms of amounts and termination dates. I'll unpack that a little bit in the next upcoming slides. In this upcoming ROPS that's due in December, the remaining enforceable obligation involves the following: the county contract with a termination of 2038. We have expected payments between $2 to $5 million. We also have tax allegation bonds that are outstanding that will be ending in September of 2032. The expected payment in the upcoming year is about $11.6 million. And we have a very nominal admin cost of only $27,000. As for the agreement between the city and the county, as some of you may recall, it was entered into in June of 2003 between the Milpitas RDA and the county with the purchase price of real property valued at $135 million. After credits to the Milpitas RDA, the payment plan involved a net value of $95 million, as summarized on that slide. $4 million for the first 10 years, $5 million for the following 5 years, $6 million for the following 5 years, and variable amounts between 2024 and 2038. During the period of 2024 to 2038, there are variables as to how the amount is determined and the termination date. The amount is determined by the greater of $2 million or 50% of sales tax generated in a certain defined geo area per Exhibit B and C, up to a maximum of $5 million. The termination is up to 2038. However, it can be terminated earlier depending on 3 other factors. As noted on that slide there, it could be terminated including the termination or expiration of the redevelopment plan, or upon the limitation of our tax increment being received, or by termination of the RDA or the city itself. That concludes my presentation. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Lauren. Any questions? Yes, Dave.
Thank you. Just a quick comment on that. So I understand that there's activity that will be lasting into 2038, and just maybe as a broad brush statement for all successor agencies, I think our goal is to try to do what we can about what we can do something about, if that makes sense. So in other words, trying to look at all the obligations, all the activity that seems to be in perpetuity, and if there's opportunities to kind of chip away so that we kind of lessen the portfolio, if you will, that would be helpful. And I was just kind of curious, has the city considered trying to renegotiate to a fixed amount? Because it seems like the variable payment might be what's kind of extending the activity, if you will.
Chair, would you like me to answer?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm also new to the city, and so I'd be happy to get back to you once I research that.
Okay.
Although it's a pretty good idea though, so if that's any possibility, that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, yes.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, yes, Glenn.
I think my hand is raised.
Oh, no. Sorry, go ahead, Glenn.
A couple of questions on this. One is, do you happen to know or give me a rough approximation of what the actual sales tax was on the subject parcels in, say, in 2021?
We don't have that information right now, partly because we're working with the county to obtain the Exhibit B and C. We are currently working also with our sales tax advisor to map that geo area out and convert that to sales tax. So we hope to complete that exercise in the upcoming months. So that is underway, especially because we're interested in knowing that information as well.
Can you put on your agenda to inform the oversight board of that when you have a number?
Happy to do so.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
I realize you're new. Following up, second question, please. The 4 alternatives that are presented in the agreement, do you, in your review of all of this, have any sense as to what the most likely occurrence of those 4 alternatives will be?
Definitely don't have an answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Anybody else have a question? Okay, I don't see none. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Chair.
We'll appreciate that information back from you. Okay, so we'll move right along then to item 6, receive a report from the successor agency of the city of San Jose.
Good afternoon, Chair. Julia Cooper,
Good afternoon, Julia.
CFO for the successor agency and Director of Finance for the city. So hopefully you can see the slide deck there. This is a summary of the written report that we put we submitted to the Oversight Board. So let's see. So in terms of the long-range property management plan, there's 2 properties still on the long-range property management plan. There's the 4 revenue participation agreement with the Montgomery Hotel, now called 4 Points Sheraton. It's active until 2065. It has a promissory note that matures at that date, and it currently has a balance of just under $5 million. And the developer has failed to make loan payments in 21 and 22, which is likely the result of the pandemic. The second property is the Billy DeFrank Community Center. The lease runs through 2054, and it has 4 10-year options to extend through 2094. Pursuant to the approved long-range property management plan, that's to be transferred to the city via a compensation agreement. On the next slide here is a summary of the DDAs that are still outstanding. There's 3 of them. There's the North San Pedro Townhome and San Pedro Life. And you can see there that there was an infrastructure grant, housing units under construction, and all that's expected to be completed by 2025 and is currently underway. The second one is with Green Valley Fulton Street Venture. This is a rehabilitation of a historic church that's supposed to include the building of 2 residential towers. And right now, the current owner is attempting to market the property to a new developer. And then Boston Properties has a special use permit to construct a 16-story office tower with 2 separate towers that includes retail and commercial office space and allows up to 15 commercial condominium units. So those are active. Then we have currently 22 CC&Rs currently still outstanding. 19 agreements will terminate between 23 and 2070. 2 agreements are in perpetuity, and another one terminates only when a building is damaged or destroyed or there's any eminent domain. Those agreements are sitting out there. We don't really have any funding to monitor them and only deal with them if an issue arises. Then we have a number of outstanding loans that are due to the former redevelopment agency. They're listed here. They total just under $13 million. We did receive 1 payment since we prepared the report of $10,000 for the, that's a housing loan, the Dana and Barbara Grover. So that amount currently outstanding now is just a little over $18,000. Then additionally, as you may recall, we did a very large refunding of all 26 bonded indebtedness outstanding obligations in 2017 of the successor agency and brought that down to just 3 bond issues outstanding. So currently the amount outstanding is just about $1.2 billion. The call date for all 3 of those bonds is 2027. And they have final maturity dates running from 2029 to 2035. We expect to evaluate refunding saving opportunities and would probably likely bring in an increase in the administrative budget in fiscal year 27 and 28 if the refunding savings are at least 3%. Since given the large amount of bonds that will still be outstanding in 2027, we believe that that would be important for us to then push more money to the taxing entities. So we don't, and as stated in the staff report, we don't anticipate that there'll be a last and final ROPS for the San Jose successor agency prior to the final maturity of the bonds, which is in 2035, given the number of contractual obligations that the successor agency has that are past the 2035 date. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Julia. Questions? Who's starting off? Dave, you have a question?
Sure. Going back to the Billy DeFrank Center, I'm just trying to understand kind of what the plan and the timeline is to wind that down. How that compensation agreement's going.
We haven't devoted any time to it, so I mean, we can try to find some resources to do that. Given the fact that the agreement goes out through 2054, we didn't necessarily see that there was a whole lot of urgency associated with it.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate that, but again, as an oversight board, the less that we have to review and analyze and discuss, you know, the concern is that the further along that we move, the less institutional knowledge there is, and everybody to relearn what we're dealing with here again.
Okay, so we will prioritize that. As you may recall, there are a number of taxing entities in the San Jose redevelopment agency. So I think it's in excess of 20 that we have to have conversations with. So it's quite a process, but we will work on that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. Glenn?
Thank you. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Glenn.
It's been a long time.
I think I'm probably one of the few people that have been here since the beginning of dissolution.
That's right.
And we go back way further than that.
Yes, we do.
Couple of questions. There on all of these CCRs, we're sitting here, there are a few of them that go out into perpetuity. What's the city's plan for the dealing with CCRs in the future? I mean, at some point, I'm assuming that they have to, let's say 2035, perhaps a final decision about how these are going to be handled in the future.
I think the expectation is that they will just sit there, and to the extent that they become an issue that somebody administratively needs to deal with in terms of a property owner not maintaining their property or something like that, we would use it as a way that we could, instill them to do whatever they need to do relative to their property, but doing it more on a complaint basis than on an active monitoring basis. So, and a lot of them are kind of related to that aspect of it.
I'm not an attorney, and so I would appreciate any clarification that you or anyone else can give me. If the CCNRs were done, essentially with the redevelopment agency, and the successor agency has assumed the rights to those CCNRs, does that automatically allow the city to enforce the CCNRs if they're not in compliance, or does that have to require specific action to make some transfer of that responsibility to the city?
Kevin, Kevin Fisher is from our city attorney's office. He's on the call as well.
Thanks, Julia. Kevin Fisher, Assistant City Attorney, San Jose, sitting as General Counsel for the successor agency. That's a good question, Mr. Williams. I think right now, as Julia mentioned, the successor agency is in place, be around at least until 2035, but we will need to look at that. The CCNRs are clouding the title of these properties. So, but the city, once the successor agency goes away, we will have to look at how to continue to enforce those CCNRs.
Would there be any advantage to the city taking a look at that to see if an earlier resolution of that issue could be made, in part to satisfy Dave's desire to have as many issues resolved as possible?
We'll take a look at that. Like I said, it's a really good question. And I think we would have to bring those transfers back to the oversight board for approval as I read the dissolution law. So we will put that on our list.
Thank you. Shifting gears for a moment, then back to Julia. I'm curious about the Sheraton and the status of enforcement on all of that. Just for my clarity, we have a loan to the owners of that is almost $5 million, and their payments are $10,000 a year on that. And if those are a fixed amount going into the future, am I correct in assuming that at the end of the period of the loan, there'll be a balloon payment basically of about 4 million plus? Is that the way that loan functions?
I believe, Kevin, I know we've been trying to work through the issue of their non-payment. So.
Yes, and there's that agreement's a little complicated because there are participation payments based on their activity, and then there are also loan payments. So, but I don't have the details at my fingertips right now.
Yeah, I'm just thinking a lot of thoughts around that. One of which is, even in the terrible times of that businesses and particularly hotels have gone through the last 30 months, $10,000 a year isn't a lot of money. And to allow the loan to go into default for the failure to pay $10,000 seems somewhat strange to me. Like there's been no effort whatsoever to enforce it. Would that be a safe assumption?
I mean, we've had conversations, but we haven't taken any formal action.
Well, and Julia, the property disposition plan provides that we're going to market that note, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was approved by the oversight board. So I think as noted in the report, we're hoping to get it in better shape to market the note, get out from under that.
Can you expand on that for me for a moment? And are you suggesting that the plan is to market both the loan and the participation agreement, or only one or the other?
The whole thing, the entire agreement. It's as approved under the long range property disposition plan by the oversight board.
Okay. And what's the plan in terms of timing for that?
Again, we have very limited resources that are dedicated to the successor agency work. So, if we want to take a more aggressive stand on it, we may need to come back with a larger administrative cost budget for the next ROPS period.
As one member of the board and only one member, I certainly would be interested in hearing whatever the city's position is. If you believe it is advantageous for us to go out, and in order to do that, you need additional resources to do that, I would be interested in hearing the case for that. If on the other hand, you believe that it is still the wrong time to go out to market those two resources, I'd like to hear that also.
Okay, we'll bring that through as part of the conversation when we present the ROPS in January. Does that work from a timing perspective?
That works.
That would be fine. Thank you.
Okay.
And I think that's all for me for now.
Thank you, Glenn. Anybody else? Questions? Okay. Thank you, Julia. Nice seeing you. It's been a while. Take care. Okay, I believe we'll move along to Santa Clara. So the city of Santa Clara, number 7, receive a report.
Great. Good afternoon, board. My name is Ken Lee, Director of Finance. I'm going to share my screen really quick, so give me a second.
Good afternoon, Ken.
So great to meet you all. So I have a short presentation, happy to take questions after. So just as by way of recap and context, the ROPS for the city of Successor Agency for the city of Santa Clara has not been filed since December 2018. At that time, we did present to the county Successor Agency Board final ROPS, and that was approved. And we've also received a finding of completion from the State Department of Finance. As such, all debt has been repaid, and no administrative budget was approved or is available right now. No outstanding developer disposition agreements exist, and as part of the long-range property management plan. 6 properties were disposed and 2 properties remain, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And so those 2 properties are the Hyatt out in Santa Clara off of Tasman and Great America Parkway, as well as the Techmark parcel. And just for context for those that may not be familiar, there's the 2 parcels here, the Hyatt right here, right next to the convention center, and then the Techmark office site to the north of that hotel. And so during the pandemic, both properties were declared surplus, and working with the county council, noticed as available based on the Surplus Land Act. And so at that time, they were ready to market. They were ready to go on the market, but working with the County Successor Agency Oversight Board Subcommittee, direction was provided to our staff to hold off on the sale of those properties, just given the pandemic and the depressed value of those properties, with some direction to check in on a 3 to 6 month basis. I don't believe we've checked in since that direction. However, while those properties are still in possession, we do continue to receive about $2 million a year in ground lease rent, which is then submitted to the county for distribution. And so that's the status of the 2 remaining properties, and happy to take any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Thank you, Ken. Any questions? I see no requests for questions, so. Okay, thank you, Ken. We'll move right along then to our next item, which is, I believe, the City of Sunnyvale.
Yep, good afternoon, members of the board, Chair Estromera, Tim Kirby, Director of Finance. Hope everybody's doing well.
Nice to see you.
I'm a little thankful that it's not 100 degrees right now while I'm giving this presentation. It's a nice thing. Hopefully you can all see my screen. So I did a little bit more background, and I'm going to move through it very quickly because nobody else included that kind of background. So I'll move through it quickly and get to the status of the actual properties themselves. I'm also joined today by John Nagel, who is our city attorney, and Karen Tiedemann, who's an outside counsel, and Nancy Grove, who's a senior management analyst in the finance department. So just going through the redevelopment of the town center from 1998 to 2022, it's been under 4 primary developers. Back in 1999, American Mall Properties was the developer, and we did a series of actions at that time. But the most significant to today's discussion is they completed construction of a new parking structure on what we call Block 5. They filed for bankruptcy protection in 2002. It was then taken over by Fourth Quarter Properties, and we did a new development agreement. And they were responsible to do a series of things, also including replacing parking structures on Matilda Avenue. They demolished the existing structure, which was at the time deemed you couldn't use it. The top deck was closed by building officials. And then subsequently, they sold the property to Reef and Sandhill Properties. In 2007, we did the approval of the development agreement, an amended development and amended and restated development agreement. At that time, there was some contamination that was identified from old dry cleaners that were on blocks 5 and 6. Then, of course, everybody knows about the Great Recession. Construction stopped, and the project went into receivership. A receiver was appointed, and then construction was restarted, and there were 2 buildings built, one for Apple, one for Nokia, and marketed for sale. Then the bank acquired the property. There was some foreclosure litigation, so things stalled. And then eventually in 2015, it was transferred to a group called STC Venture LLC. STC Venture, we negotiated with them and they got approved the modified and restated amended disposition and development and owner participation agreement, which we affectionately call Mr. Adopa. And that identified that the developer was responsible for half of the ongoing cost of the environmental remediation on block 5, transfer block 6 to the developer, and then elimination of some tax increment payments that were in the prior agreement. They've done the project has been very active since they took over. And if you've been down to downtown Sunnyvale, you can see there's a lot of activity, a movie theater, Whole Foods, and they're opening up a lot of ground floor retail. So it's really moving along nicely right now. So let me get into the properties, which is what we're talking about today mostly. So history of parking garages on blocks 1 and 2. So blocks 1 and 2 are along Matilda Avenue, which is the main corridor there that runs south to north or north to south in Sunnyvale, one of the main corridors. There are public parking garages. Land was purchased for those by the city with parking district monies and deeded to the RDA at no cost a long time ago. Prior developers constructed the 2 garages at no cost to the redevelopment agency. So those were constructed by the developer at no cost. Operation and maintenance costs of those have been borne by prior developers and are the responsibility of the current developer and future for 99 years until 2115. To give you an idea, those costs on these 2 garages, they run about a little bit north of $600,000 a year to maintain. In 2115, the leases expire and the property is transferred to the successor agency. Blocks 5 and 6, which are more along Sunnyvale Avenue, which runs parallel to Matilda. The block 5, we call it the Pennies parking structure because it used to, there used to be a Pennies there. The garage was constructed in, I believe it was 2002, and it's maintained at the expense of the developer, and it was constructed using a bond issuance, but the developer fully pays the debt service on that, and it was just wrapped up this year. Operated by STC Ventures, so operated and maintained. But there is environmental contamination from an old dry cleaning business on block 5 underneath the structure. And as I mentioned, under Mr. Adopa, the successor agency and the developer split those remediation costs. They are running about $120K a year. Half the successor agency's half is about $120K a year right now, is what we put on the ROPS for the current year. But that could change because it's unknown at this point what's going to happen with that contamination. And then block 6 is part of Mr. Adopa. They've taken ownership. The developer's taken ownership and responsibility of the contamination on that site. So as I mentioned, the successor agency owns block 5, and it has this history of environmental contamination. And it was a common practice for dry cleaners to dispose of their solvents in the sewer system or in other ways that are no longer allowed. And it is under the Regional Water Quality Control Board's jurisdiction, and ongoing monitoring is continuing and it is required. Recently, we continued to do groundwater monitoring. We've done soil vapor monitoring and maintenance of some of the extraction systems, soil vapor extraction systems. I cited the section here under the terms of the Mr. Adopa. We agreed to split the environmental cost as defined in the previous agreement. So those costs include all oversight fees charged by the water board, all hazardous waste generator fees, hazardous waste transportation, fees for environmental consultants and attorneys retained by the successor agency or the developer, cost to install, operate, and maintain any remediation systems, costs associated with abandonment or closure, and costs associated with third-party claims. Upon the retirement of the bonds, which happened this year, these are the only continuing enforceable obligations for the successor agency outside of the admin costs. On blocks 1 and 2, those are public parking garages. We are at an impasse with the county in discussions to create a compensation agreement for the 2 parcels. As no redevelopment funds were spent on the construction and maintenance, and the city owns the land, it is only fair that we feel it's only fair that the successor agency transfer the garages to the city pursuant to the health and safety code. So block 5, just getting back to that one briefly, the developer has not expressed any interest, although they could take ownership of that or taking full responsibility for the environmental cleanup. And we have explored options for addressing the environmental costs as well as long-term ownership with no suitable outcomes. So at this point, the city is not willing or obligated to accept the liability for block 5. And until the successor agency resolves the issues with block 5, it can't be dissolved. So in summary, just to kind of hit the high points. That's a win for the successor agency. The successor agency is responsible for half the environmental remediation costs on block 5. And there is no indication that the remediation obligations will ever be terminated and the costs will, as long as we can see into the future. And again, discussions on compensation agreements for PD1 and PD2 are at an impasse currently. And so that concludes my presentation.
Mr. Chair, you're muted.
Sorry, thank you, Tim. Questions? Dave?
Sure, thank you. So going back to that impasse, I'm hoping that something like that could be unstuck. It makes sense that the garages could be transferred provided there was a compensation agreement. So not knowing all the details of the negotiation by any means, it just seems to me that, the concern I would have as a successor agency is just making sure that if it's being transferred to the city as a public parking garage, that all the spaces are for public use, and that there would be something in a compensation agreement that if the city were to change gears, like down the road at the Valco shopping center, they're charging for parking. If something like that were to happen, we would want to make sure that the taxing entity's interest was represented in any future revenues from charging for parking. So I'm kind of curious because it seems fairly straightforward unless not all the spots are public or something else is going on. So I would just like to continue to see some effort toward at least taking care of blocks 1 and 2 as we try to sort out what to do with block 5, obviously. Does that make sense?
The city is open to discussions with the county and it's have recently had a meeting, so we are continuing discussions.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Glenn.
I have no questions.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody have questions? Yes, Larry.
So as far as block 6 is concerned, that will be off the list come next year when we come back in January, or how much paperwork is still left on that?
I believe I'll let John respond to that, but I believe it's completed. John, are you there? John, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
Yeah, I can chime in. That transaction has been completed. So the successor agency doesn't have an interest in block 6 anymore.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're just down to those last 3 properties. And as far as remediation costs on a yearly basis for block 5, which we don't We don't know how long that will take, of course. What's the approximate value again, or approximate cost for the developer? And we're splitting those costs between the developer and the city.
Yeah, it's it's been a little bit less recently, but we've been putting about $120,000 on the ROPS. So the total cost for the developer and the city would be about $240 a year.
Okay.
For all the environmental and monitoring. As everybody knows who's had some experience with environmental contamination, those costs can change on a dime depending on the conditions. So, but at this point, that's what they've been at.
Okay. And then Mr. Snow or Vice Chair Snow talked about the parking garages 1 and 2. So that's completely, as you said, supported by the developer right now. There are a few reserved parking spaces, if I remember, for those garages, or from a developer standpoint, as opposed to being completely public. Is that right?
That's right. Karen, can you give a little bit more detail on that?
Yeah, I'm not going to get this completely accurate, but there are some lower level spaces that are reserved for the office buildings in those parking garages.
Okay. And that's, well, it was for the developer. The developer built the garages and it was reserved parking for.
It was part of the deal of that. Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, it looks like, Mr. Nagel had his hand up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Yes, Mr. Nagel?
Can you hear me now?
Just barely, John.
Yeah, barely.
So, I'm not muted.
You're okay, John. We can hear you enough, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not muted. I don't know why it's not coming through. It must just be a bad connection at City Hall. One of the important obligations we will have for contamination is separate from any of the extraction or monitoring is that there's a plume that has expanded from underneath the site of the parking garage and actually goes into the public street and is approaching homes across the street from the the homes that are currently across the street from the parking home. And in addition, around the parking garage, there will be developed, I believe, 19 townhomes that will be put up by the developer. And of course, they will be exposed to possible contamination. So we have the potential of not just the cost to maintain, but also environmental liability in case the soil vapor barrier for the new development doesn't work properly, or if the plume continues to move and gets underneath homes and begins to come up into the homes through their crawl spaces. So that's a very unknown factor, and what the expense of it might be, who knows? It all depends on the time that occurs. So there's a lot of unknowns about when or if our obligations will ever expire for the successor agency.
Thank you, John. Anything further? Oh, okay. No more questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Before we leave, if Julia is still on the call, I think she is, I have one more question regarding San Jose, if that's possible.
Sure, we could come back then.
I'm here.
You're still here. Yes.
Thank you, Julia. I just would appreciate it if you could touch on Green Valley for a moment. My understanding from your report is that the developer is trying to sell the property and that he's currently in default. Could you expand on what the city's thinking is regarding that property?
Oh, great. I lost Nancy and Kevin, who had more detail on that than I do. I mean, I know they're trying to work through, I mean, we don't have. If the redevelopment agency hadn't gone away, it was still in existence. Under the agreement, we would have had the right to buy the property because of the default, but we never purchased the property to begin with, but as part of it being put together, the redevelopment agency would have had the right to come in and purchase the property. But since the redevelopment agency, the successor agency has no money and has no ability to do that, that's one of the big kind of, what do you want to call it, like a hammer that we had in terms of making the DDA work. And so now it's just trying to get the parties to kind of agree to, get that project moving. So I can come back with a more updated status when we come back in January with the ROPS and, let you know if there's anything we can do to help facilitate and move that along. But obviously the successor agency can't buy the property because we have no rights to do that under dissolution law. And we have no money either.
Well, clarify for me again, even though yes, I appreciate very much if you will come back in January with further elaboration on that issue. Okay. One of the reasons for my question was the thought that if, and you may include this in your answer, is can the successor agency sell the rights under that DDA to a third party? And if they can, and there's money to be had for that, there may be a market for a buyer who thinks that they have the right then to come in and purchase the property.
Okay, I'll ask our counsel that question and see if there's potentially value there.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks to both of you. Any further questions either on Sunnyvale or San Jose? Oh, okay, then we'll go back to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, that's completed all the items on the regular agenda. Everything else is on the consent calendar, which has been previously approved.
Okay, great. Well, thanks to the Vice Chair for covering for me. I just had a hard time getting on. I really appreciate it. And my apologies again for being late. I was on here early, but I couldn't get in. So thank everybody, and we're ready for adjournment. If there's any requests for agenda items for our next meeting, now's the time, and if there's any requests. So seeing none, thanks everybody for showing up, and we'll see you all at the next meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Glenn.
Just, I would like to make sure that we have agendized Julia's report for the next meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and Julia's still on.
With next meeting, your next meeting is scheduled for November. Are we talking November or the January ROPS meeting?
We might.
Would you be able to report back in November?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I back my comment off.
Okay. Okay.
January will be fine.
And we may not have other agenda items for November, so just to be sure then. Yeah. If we do, we will have a November meeting, but otherwise, then we will end up at a January meeting. So if there's nothing further, then, okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all again. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Recording stopped.